It's a fashion show, a media circus, a party marathon. But most of all, it's a place for 125,000 people to gather together to experience the power of live music. It's the story of Coachella, next on Booked on Rock.
We're totally booked.
Rock and roll!
Well, I think I'll leave you to your reading.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Rock and roller!
We are totally booked.
Welcome back to Booked on Rock. This is the podcast for those about to read and rock. I'm Eric Senich. Our guest is Katie Bain, the author of Desert Dreams, the music, style, and allure of Coachella. Welcome to the podcast, Katie.
Thank you very much for having me.
I guess we should start with two guys here, Paul Tollett and Gary Tova. They're the guys who met and changed the trajectory of live music in America. This meeting could have ended up in a turf war, as you write, but they hit it off, became friends.
That's exactly right. And I mean, it sounds hyperbolic to say it changed the trajectory of the American live music scene, but I truly believe that that is real and that it was kind of a fated meeting between these two Southern California punk producers who, like you said, could have been enemies, but found that they liked each other and started working together, and thus came Coachella.
Pearl Jam actually comes into play here. Pearl Jam was battling with Ticketmaster at one point, as we know. It's a famous story. And they were going to play a gig, and they didn't want to play there because of Ticketmaster, right? Can you connect the dots here?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. This is super interesting. So it was the Versus tour in '93, and they were not going to play in Southern California because none of the big venues here, all of the venues here worked with Ticketmaster. And as you said, the band was boycotting Ticketmaster at that time. And so, these entrepreneurial promoters that we discussed said, hey, if we can find you a site, a venue to play that's not Ticketmaster affiliated, would you come to play? And Pearl Jam and their team, obviously said yes. And so they found this site that was, about 30 miles east of Los Angeles. And in '93 was, I think in the book, like the absolute sticks. Like it was really the middle of nowhere. And it was Indio. It was the polo field. And that is, of course, where the site, would become Coachella eventually. But I think that was the prototype. And they thought, oh, okay, like not only does this work as a festival site, but people will drive out here. And it all went pretty smoothly. People threw their shoes at the band, and I think Eddie Vedder got hit by a shoe, but the issues were relatively minor. And so they, saw it as a venue for the first time.
Yeah, and the first Coachella took place October 9th and 10th of 1999. And you lead the chapter with, quote, anyone who was there remembers one thing for sure. It was hot as hell. But those who were there say the magic was also there from the start. Rage Against the Machine, Beck, the Chemical Brothers, Tool, Ben Harper and the Innocent Criminals. Morrissey was there as well. A very different audience than Woodstock 99, which had just taken place 3 months later, right? This was a very mellow, subdued crowd that got along well.
Yeah, isn't that fascinating? I think, it's in the book that tickets for Coachella went on sale the day after Woodstock 99 ended. And, as we all know, that was just like an unmitigated disaster and really, I mean, like very dangerous. And when you watch the documentary, it's shocking what went on there. And so, yeah, as you said, some of the same acts that played Woodstock 99 then came across the country to Coachella 3 months later and had an extremely different experience. I was talking with some friends who were there at that first Coachella, and they said that there was like some angst in the air of what is it going to be like? Is it going to go down like Woodstock did? And there was maybe a little bit of tension, but by and large, the crowd was like massively more peaceful, and the site was more habitable for humans. Woodstock 99 happened on a tarmac at a a military base, and Coachella happened in like a paradisical garden. And so
maybe that's part of that answers part of the question, because I was wondering, what do you attribute that to? So environment, location.
Yeah, I think environment and location, because you put people on tarmac for 3-4 days in the hot sun. They don't have great access to water. Things are expensive. It just like Woodstock 99 was inhospitable, and after 4 days people are pissed and they're gonna rebel, and they obviously did. There wasn't really, I don't want to say there was no chance of that happening at Coachella, but it was just a much more comfortable environment to be in despite the heat. And, water was cheaper, water was abundant, they were on grass. Like it makes a difference, in our biology, how we feel and therefore how we act.
Interesting. And the first edition didn't make any money. Why was that? And then what changes did they make from that point on?
Paul Tillett, in one of the articles that I referenced, said, tickets cost $50 a day. They should have been 55. They did, I think, 5 stages year one. It should have been 4. They just went really big out the gate and they didn't have it dialed right away. So they lost a bunch of money. They took 2000 off. Coachella did not happen. So year 2 was 2001. And by that point, AEG had come in, this, bigger parent company, and saw the promise of what they had done and kind of infused Coachella and Golden Voice with some cash. And then it was kind of off to the races.
And it returned in 2001, but the event was still a long way from becoming that international juggernaut it would become. Among the factors contributing to its increase in popularity were a few key bookings. Who were the artists you would say made a big impact? Radiohead in 05? That was a turning point.
Yeah, that was a turning point. Absolutely. Because, at that time, Radiohead was one of the biggest bands in the world, still one of the biggest bands in the world, but really at that time was boundary pushing, super critical darling. And so when Coachella booked, obviously the Becks and the Chemical Brothers and the Orbs and the Tools and the Rage Against the Machines of the world, like those are all great bands. But Radiohead was really cutting edge. And so for Coachella to get that kind of prestigious booking, I think was like a head turning moment and just brought a lot more eyes to it.
And by 2011, it was America's most prestigious and influential music festival. And how did technology make it even bigger?
It's a great question. So I find this element of the story fascinating because there's really all this like dovetailing of factors, things coming together that really boosted the visibility and influence of Coachella. But I think it's 2 things specifically. One is the live stream. Coachella started being live streamed on YouTube in 2011. And so it became not just this thing, this holiday for people in Southern California and beyond to travel to and experience and know about, but the people that were far beyond that, or the people that couldn't afford to come, or don't like crowds, or get exhausted and don't want to be the same. Whatever reason you don't want to go to a festival or you can't go, the live stream brought those walls down, and it just became this free event that anybody in the world could tap into, anyone with an internet connection. And at the same time, Instagram launched in 2011. And so in tandem, you're having now all of these people who are there wanting to show people that they're there. And so you see the rise of influencer culture and just promoting the festival on social media through kind of organic marketing, the organic marketing that social media offers, in a way that just made the festival really buzzy and so much bigger because suddenly everybody that was there was kind of reporting from it, if you will.
And everybody who wasn't wanted to be there
Exactly.
because of what they saw.
Exactly. And so, I mean, call it, you could call the live stream an act of benevolence. I'm like, oh, we're going to share this with people around the world, but it's, one of the greatest marketing tools that a festival has ever known.
Let's talk about the layout of Coachella, the key locations. The photos in the book are beautiful. It's a beautiful location for a music festival. 78 acres. You're isolated from the rest of the world. There's the iconic Ferris wheel, art installations. There's even an air-conditioned tent.
Oh, yeah, there's a few. Yeah, I mean, obviously the Ferris wheel is kind of the landmark and the thing people, it's kind of synonymous with Coachella. I've never been on it myself, but it's a big Ferris wheel. And then there are these incredible art installations, some of which change from year to year. But then there's the Rainbow Tower that is called Spectra, that has become kind of synonymous with the festival and is now a permanent installation. And then it's like, it's not just the art and the structures, but the grass and the palm trees and the bougainvillea and kind of the particular smell the air has because that there are like horses around. And so it's just like this really interesting alchemy of factors that come in to make that site feel like no other place in the world.
That's so cool. Katie Bain is the author of Desert Dreams, the Music Style and Allure of Coachella. The chapter top headline moments, in one of them, Roger Waters performing in 2008. And something happened to his inflatable pig. Was it an accident? Maybe not.
I love this story. I think this story is hilarious. And I think it really shows that, like, for all of the extremely choreographed moments that these artists pull off on stage and spent months perfecting, there are these kind of goofy things that happen. So yeah, as you said, Roger Waters in 2008 had an inflatable pig as part of his show. People have probably seen this in his, touring over the years. But the pig got loose from its tethers and floated away. And this thing is big. It's like as big as a school bus, I think. And Coachella wanted it back. They wanted to find it. So they put out an announcement saying that anybody who helped in the returning of the pig would get a reward, which I think was some money and then festival tickets for life. And the people that ended up making the call were two couples because the pig was so big that it spread across two different front yards. Yeah, and that team from Coachella arrives and they're like, "Yep, that's our pig." And I just think that is like, when you really think about what that looked like, I think that's a very funny visual. And the reporting went that the couple very benevolently donated the money to local music classes for kids.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
the question of, was it an accident or not? Because maybe it was a publicity thing. I mean, that happened actually back in what year was when the animals came out, and there was an actual pig that got loose in England, and that made the news. So
Interesting.
it's a great way to get some free publicity.
I think Animals was at 77, so 30 years later, he's still using the pig for promo.
And then the following year, Morrissey walked off stage.
Yes. Also animal related. Yes. Famously vegan Morrissey said from the stage that he, I don't have the exact quote, but, smelled the burning flesh of animals, basically referring to whatever, smoke was on the air from, a barbecue, whatever food stand was preparing, a hamburger or whatever, and marched off stage because it so disgusted him. And, we know that about Morrissey. He refuses to play in venues sometimes that serve meat. It's a very real cause for him. And so, yeah, he didn't like that smell.
Hey guys, we'll get back to the show, but first I want to tell you about an exclusive deal for Booked on Rock listeners. Get 15% off any purchase at oldglory.com. Over 300,000 officially licensed items covering music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture. Merchandise featuring legendary music artists like Bob Marley, The Beatles, Grateful Dead, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, and many, many more. Go to oldglory.com. Make sure to use the promo code BookedOnRock. Also find a link in this episode's show notes, or just go to bookedonrock.com and click on My Deals. Quite a few memorable performances over the years, along with two we mentioned. You say that possibly the first instance of the special guest phenomenon began in 2002 when DJ Z Trip brought out a special guest. Who was that guest?
That guest was Beck. Yes, who, as you said, played the first year of the festival, but I think this year was just hanging out and happened to be backstage. And, whatever conversation these two had, they decided it would be a good idea. I'm sure it was. There is almost no footage of it because this is before the smartphone era. But it really is the first instance I could find of this phenomenon that is very Coachella specific, of artists bringing out other artists. And that's the whole weekend one, one of the big pillars is who are they going to bring out? I heard they're bringing out so-and-so, or I heard this is, and there are these megawatt, like crazy famous guests that come out during other artists' performance. And it can be really exciting.
Yeah, again, the buzz, people start talking. Who's going to be there?
Totally. And sometimes it's not true. I have some friends who recall, I forget what year, but sprinting across the stage because they thought someone was bringing out Daft Punk. And of course, that was not a real thing. But these rumors get started, and it adds to this kind of like buzzy hype on the site on any given day, which can be really fun.
And you list the 21 most essential sets at Coachella Let's get to some and what made their sets so special. Tell us about Rage Against the Machine. This goes way back to 1999.
Yeah, well, it was the first year. And Rage was again like one of the biggest bands in the world. And I mean, I think it's just really a foundational moment for the festival because it speaks to the roots of Golden Voice and this sort of punk alternative rock scene that the festival kind of emerged from.
What's interesting is there's a range of acts in terms of age groups that would be into these bands. Like it's a younger audience, but still you've got these bands like Guns N' Roses, The Cure, Iggy and the Stooges. That's on the list too. That's from 2003, the big reunion show, right? The
Yeah.
Stones.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
Iggy and the Stooges is interesting because it's also symbolic of what was another tentpole phenomenon of the Coachella lineups of just the reunions of like who is going to get back together to perform at Coachella. Obviously, the Pixies was a really big one in under that umbrella. Outcast, you could look at No Doubt, even in recent years, excuse me. And so yeah, I selected Iggy and the Stooges just for that reason because it was really indicative of something that would become very Coachella specific.
What's the average age of the audience there?
Man. It's a good question.
I mean, late 20s or actually probably late teens through mid to late 20s.
The older I get, the younger they seem.
Yes, exactly.
I will say.
Right.
So I would say it does depend. Obviously, demographics don't shift day by day as much as they used to when you could buy day passes. But I will say, like, I'm thinking, for example, of 2015 when Jack White was Saturday night and then Drake was the Sunday night headliner. And you could kind of feel a difference in who was there. Like for Jack White, it was it was older people. And for Drake, it was younger people. But I would say there are, I don't know how you want to classify old. I would probably classify myself as old at this point. But there are a lot of adults of a certain stature that are there in addition to all the kids. And it's really just.
That's what I love, though. I mean, that's what's so cool about it. Just bringing everybody together, all
100%. And I think certain demographics are pulled over to this stage and then you have a younger demographic over here. But everyone's there and it's just kind of where you're spending your time and putting your attention.
Love that. Yeah. Now, Radiohead from 2004, there was some doubt there that the band would even perform.
Yes, that's right. So I think that they had been playing in Australia or it was somewhere quite far away from Indio. And Tom York was having vocal issues. And I think it was just, it made me actually grateful reporting this part of just the existence of kind of small granular news pieces that maybe at the time seem insignificant, but kind of create this trail of history. Because I found a short piece from Billboard actually being like, Tom York cites vocal issues, unsure if he will play next shows. And the next shows, was Coachella. But he showed up, he sounded great. If he was in pain, he did not indicate it during that performance.
Prince's 2008 performance. Prince came at a high price, but Tollett said it was worth every penny. Talk about the show. He brought the party.
Oh my God. That was my first Coachella. That was the first day.
Okay, great. Tell us about that.
I ever set foot on the field. So it's a very special memory, I'm sure, for everyone who was there. But Prince is what brought me to Coachella for the first time.
Wow.
He was added to the lineup 2 or 3 weeks before, which was a big deal. Like that doesn't happen very often. And as you said, they paid a lot to get him out there. However, I had seen Prince a few times by that time. This was the best. This was above and beyond. I mean, Prince is always great, but this was like we went out to space together or something. He had Morris Day. I think Sheila E. was there. It felt like a party on stage. He did a lot of covers, kind of like non sequitur, like, he's playing that. But one of them, of course, famously was the Radiohead cover of Creep, which became one of like the defining moments of Coachella. He played like a very long, slowed down version of Little Red Corvette. And then, by the time he did Purple Rain, I had kind of forgotten that was even a possibility. So when the opening notes of that song came on, it was like, and now we get Purple Rain. You know, like we've been on this like incredible musical journey together, if you will. I know that's cheesy, but ending the show with that was like sacred, really, for me.
So jealous,
Yeah,
man.
you should
Yeah,
be.
it's like he rose to the occasion because he knew how big of an event it was.
1000%. And yeah, he just brought it. And he's Prince. Like, of course he did.
I'm a huge fan of The Cure. Their '09 show among the 21 best, a very long set. In fact, they kept playing even after the PA system was cut. And there was what you called an intimate sing along by show's end.
Yes. Well, I'm sure most people know that if you go over the curfew of the festival gets fined. And it can be a lot of money. You know, it's like, it can be thousands and tens of thousands of dollars, depending on how long an artist goes over. And I think Paul McCartney went over during his set and they let him do it. But in any case, you're right. With The Cure, they eventually had to pull the plug. And people who were there, you know, and like probably the really hardcore fans, noticed that The Cure did not stop playing when the plug was pulled. And so it just became this acoustic set that people kind of gravitated to and had a small scale acoustic Cure sing-along show that I'm sure was just like one of the most incredible moments of, you know, those people's lives, because how cool does that sound?
Robert Smith, the man. Yeah, Guns N' Roses in 2016, big moment. Axl Rose and Slash, they hadn't performed together since 1993. Paul Tollett, he played a key role in this?
I don't know exactly the lore behind getting them back together, but I mean,
But he was trying for a long time, apparently. According to
okay.
the book, right? I think that's what you
I'm
mentioned
sure
in
that I
there.
wrote that. I wrote
I think he was really just like every year, like, okay, guys, you want to do this?
Yeah, well, I'm sure that's, you know, one of the white whales of reunions, because there are only a certain number of bands, really, when you think about it, who are at that level where they can come back together, they can headline Coachella, and it'll be a big enough draw that it will help sell out the festival. And Guns N' Roses certainly was that. I was there. It was awesome. Axl Rose had broken his leg. He had or injured himself at a smaller show at the Troubadour, like the week or two before. So he was playing on a throne from a throne lent to him by Dave Grohl. Like there's just like some great mythology around the set, but like, they were, you know, it's Guns N' Roses. It doesn't matter if he, you know, played laying down from bed. They sounded amazing.
Now, the last question, Katie, you write, quote, critics of Coachella say it's become too expensive, too much of a social media feeding frenzy, too much of an influencer gathering, to this and to that. What is your response to the critics, and why is Coachella still well worth the cost?
I mean, all of those things are present. The influencer thing is real. And it is expensive to go. But I always think about it as an allocation of resources. Like some people like buy a boat and some people spend their money on golfing. Like it's like, if you love music, this is a really good investment, because regardless of what you think about influencer culture, branding, whatever, it's fairly easy to just kind of not be a part of that while you're there, especially if you go weekend two, where that presence really goes away almost. I don't want to say to zero, but it really goes away. And you can see some of the best musical performances like ever. And as a music fan, I think that's like well worth one's time. It's like a really high level buffet of music.
Desert Dreams, the music style and allure of Coachella. The book is out now.
The book is out now, yes.
So you can find it wherever books are sold, the usual outlets, Amazon, all those places, but also look for it at your nearest bookstore, your nearest independent bookstore. You can find your nearest independent bookstore at the website bookedonrock.com. And where can people find you online, Katie, if they want to reach out?
You can find me on Instagram. It's Bain of Your Existence, BAIN, like my
I love
name.
that. I love that.
OFEXSTNCE. And then my website is MsKatieBain.com.
Katie Bain, thank you so much for coming on, and congrats on a phenomenal book.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
That's it. It's in the books.